All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Grace and Gossip. This is your host, Crystal XO. And we need a little bit more light on the page, but welcome. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. My weekend was very, very busy. I am so sorry. This did not look this way before we started live, but my weekend was very busy. I actually, what did I do? Friday night, we had the Divas Night Out. And for those of you that watch Relationship Recap with Scorpio Mo and I, you know that I had some trouble getting from my destination to his house to do the show, so that we did not record it early, because obviously that is a whole problem with the XO audience if we record early. So we did the show. We had a great time. It took me almost an hour to drive, 20 minutes, got there. And then we had a great time. Saturday, I had a lot going on with work to prepare for an upcoming event. And then Sunday, yesterday, I actually emceed the Ministry show with Chanel Nicole Scott. Her platform is titled Relationships Matter, and also Ministry. And so we did that. She had Dr. Heavenly, Young Jock, and his wife Kendra, and Deandra Sanders. So it was quite an interesting, if you could imagine, it was quite an interesting group. Some interesting conversation, and I probably will talk a little bit about more of that conversation on Wednesday on Dating Diaries, because it was definitely some interesting stuff happening. But you guys know today is all about grace and gossip. And so I want to, before we get into everything that I want to talk about today, I want to share with you guys, there's topics that we've been talking about for the last probably month, or even beyond that. Really, it feels like it's been more than that. It feels like it's been like for the last maybe 2 or 3 months since Married at First Sight has been on. We've been talking about Married at First Sight. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Linnell. You guys, welcome. Come on in our Monday conversation on grace and gossip. I was saying that before I get into the topics for tonight we're going to talk a lot about the Housewives. I just wanted to say that I'm not doing any more commentary on Married at First Sight Chicago. Nothing else, a little too much on Married at First Sight Chicago. We talked about it a lot. Social media is talking about it a lot. People have been talking about that show a lot. But what I don't like is every time I go online, I see people are dogging out David and Michelle. They're acting like David and Michelle were married in real life, and he pursued her for years, and then he cheated on her, and she is this victim, and he and Madison are the worst people ever. And I'm just over it. I'm over it. Like, they're still together. It's been a year. They made it a lot longer than most couples on the show. And we all know, you guys know that whole idea of Married at First Sight. Most of those couples don't last. Hell, most married, not at first sight couples have a hard time lasting. So if somebody finds their happiness, it's enough. Like it is enough. It is enough. People are just, I think at this point, it's fun to pick on them. They were seen out at a few events, and I mean, there are whole threads on Facebook just dogging them out. And so I'm just over it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I think they should be happy. If they're happy, hopefully that it will work. And it is, it's enough. Like it's enough. As far as MM and her, um, her extremely opportunistic fiance slash husband, because I'm sure he's a husband at this point. No, that did not seem to be a great idea or decision, but I mean, she did come on the show to get married at first sight. She obviously wanted to get married at first sight. Hey, let that woman live. She's gonna have to live and learn, much like Ashley did on Love Is Blind. But we have to move on, people. We have to move on, mostly because of the Madison and David thing. I just think that people can be very, very mean, and I think people are not being objective and realizing that he came on a show. Yes, his lies were ridiculous, but I mean, that woman did not have any interest in him. So there's no harm, no loss, no harm, no foul. She should be happy that he found happiness outside of her hatefulness and condescension. And, Alan has moved on and has a new girlfriend. So no one is hurt in this situation. There are no victims at this point. Alan initially was the only victim, and he has moved on. So we have to move on, as fans of the show. I did see that they were doing Seattle. I actually thought Chicago was going to be a good change for the show, but Married at First Sight has such a strange formula that I don't know if there will be changes depending on the city. You know how with Ready to Love, we feel like, okay, now that they actually went to Philly, there seems to be a difference in the culture. But Married at First Sight is a very different type formula. And I think the problem is, are the experts actually connecting people because they want to create matches that could work, or are they just creating matches that could be good TV? And I'm not really sure. I like Pastor Cal. I think Dr. Pepper needs to go, spend time in her separate home with her husband. I think Dr. Pia should not be on the show. I don't think she's objective, but I do want to give her grace because she was pregnant this last season. But I'm over it. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for a new season. Hopefully there will be some changes in the way that they handle certain things, because this season did go so badly. Another record bad season. We thought Denver was horrible. This is even worse than Denver, because two of the couples actually ended up trashing the couple that was, the significant other given to them and getting with each other, which is crazy. But it just also speaks to the fact that the experts are doing a horrible job at matching these couples. So I just want to start out by saying I'm over it. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to entertain any more dogging David and Madison outposts. It's ridiculous, and let them people live. Okay. We're going to move on. I'm going to talk a little bit about this situation that happened on the Breakfast Club. You guys, if you watch this channel, and if you have been watching for years, you probably saw an interview I did with Charlamagne the God years ago. I interviewed him twice on both of his books that came out. And I'm a fan of the Breakfast Club, a fan of Charlamagne to an extent, because I think that he's very smart, and I like the fact that he's talked about a lot of situations in the Black community that we need to discuss more, mainly mental health, right? But I don't like how this whole situation with Jess Hilarious and Lauren Losa has played out on the show. And so I did an article for Collider about it, and it bothered me because this is the article right here. It is The Breakfast Club's Jess Hilarious, Lauren Losa, and Corey Holcomb's feud explained. Well, if you watch the show, you know that Angela Yee was a longtime member of the Breakfast Club. It was Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God, and DJ Envy. And Angela Yee, after 13 years, left the show. Now, people say she left on a bad note or she was tired, but most people, after being on any job for 13 years, may disagree with their coworkers. I know that the public likes to get all involved and pick sides in, different situations with people that are on the television or in front of us. But the reality is a workplace, usually if you grow and you are, working hard and really investing in yourself, you're going to outgrow a work relationship at some point. So it made sense to me that Angela Yee left. She has her own show titled Lip Service now that is doing really well. So obviously the two guys, you need to have a little bit of estrogen in there. You need to have a little bit of feminine energy because Charlemagne has a very, very strong personality, very strong opinion. DJ Envy is kind of like he's just kind of like the person to, make everything level out. Not necessarily super opinionated, but with Charlemagne being very, very opinionated to the point of being offensive sometimes, and Angela Yee being the one that was really fact driven, it was very, DJ Envy is the calm and kind of brings everybody back to, a point, right? A starting point. So when Angela left, you still have Charlemagne, the very strong personality, and then you also have DJ Envy to bring everyone back, but you needed someone else to kind of bring that research, bring that female perspective. And so they started looking for a host for the show. I remember everyone in media was just about vying for that opportunity. We know that our good friend Kendra G, who now has her own platform, Singled Out, was one of the people that they considered. Claudia Jordan was one of the people they considered. I think even like there were mumblings that they were considering like a Portia or different people, which would not have worked because she lives here in Atlanta. But there were a lot of people sitting in on the Breakfast Club and doing and trying for that slot, right? So I remember I really thought that Claudia Jordan was going to have an opportunity to get it. I know that she's in news. She was on Fox Soul at the time. She's very savvy when it comes to getting information. She's opinionated, but she still, has a professional air about her. Lauren Losa was a young lady that came from TMZ that I had worked with a lot, placing clients on TMZ. So I was familiar with Lauren. And then Jess Hilarious was a contender as well. Now, the thing about Jess is that she's hilarious, as her name suggests. She's funny, but she also has a knack for just being very brutally honest. And I think a lot of times this is how I want to kind of approach this situation and this conversation. It's hard for females to do what males can do, because even though we believe that women are now, this driving force in society, and there's, so many people allegedly have so much respect for Black women, there's still a huge divide between what viewers, even other women, will accept from a woman than what they will accept from a man. So the way Charlemagne would speak and how accusatory he could be and how opinionated he could be, it worked. And still a lot of people don't like Charlemagne, but I promise you, if a woman had that energy, it would be even worse. So when a woman is not afraid to be bold or assertive or brutally honest, that does not always go over well with other men and even other women. So I was a little concerned about Jess simply because she is very, very bold. And that is not always, Angela Yee was not like that. She would really not, she was not that opinionated. She would state facts and she would, bring the research out and the education to the story, but she would very rarely ruffle feathers. Jess is with the shits. Jess likes to ruffle feathers. And so again, knowing what I know from being in media and following trends from a publicity perspective, I know that that's really difficult when it comes to women. People like women to look pretty and kind of be quiet, for all practical purposes. I know we act like we're past that point, but we're not. People still prefer an attractive woman that kind of knows, the quote unquote knows her place and isn't going to cause too much, ruffle too many feathers. So I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, when they ended up giving Jess the position, because I thought, wow, this means that the Breakfast Club wants to change up their dynamic. The dynamic is Charlemagne is the shock and awe. The woman, or Angela Yee, i.e. the person in her place, would bring the context, and then DJ Envy would wrap it all up. So if they bring in Jess Hilarious, who is equally as opinionated as Charlemagne, obviously they're trying to change the dynamic. I thought that to myself and I was like, that's interesting. And I think, obviously the Breakfast Club had been around for a long time. And they also now have a visual component on BET. So maybe they wanted to change things up, to kind of connect with another generation. Jess Hilarious is kind of like, I don't want to say she became YouTube famous, but that's how people got to know her, was online. And then that's how she kind of got her start. So that connects with the younger demographic. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. I was like, okay, cool. I love it. So Jess comes on. It's, after this long audition process with almost every Black female media correspondent in the country. And then she announces that she's going on maternity leave. Now, again, I thought to myself, ooh, that could be rough, because I know that everybody claims we've moved forward and claims that that's not a big deal nowadays. I come from the school where when a woman was pregnant, that could potentially jeopardize her job. When a woman was pregnant, that could potentially mean that an employer wouldn't take her seriously for a raise or for a promotion, because that could suggest that she would not be as, focused on her job, because she was more focused on her children. So I thought, ooh, that's kind of rough to just start a new position this big that everyone has been fighting for, and then to go on maternity leave. She goes on maternity leave and they bring in Lauren Losa. Lauren is young. Lauren is very, very sharp. And Lauren knows the terrain because she came from TMZ. So she has an audience. She knows how to do news. She knows how to speak to that audience. She knows how to interview. And she possessed a lot of the qualities that Jess did not have, because Jess does not come from a journalistic background. Jess is funny and has good old-fashioned common sense, right? But as far as like being news savvy and knowing how to do all those things, that wasn't her strong point. However, when they chose Jess, they made a statement that that's not what they were looking for. However, things changed. Jess goes on maternity leave. They bring in this young girl who is very savvy, very hit the ground running. I'm going to make this my role. I'm going to make it, she's doing what she's supposed to do. Make it difficult for the person that's in the position to come back, because you've done such a good job. Any of us would have done the same thing, right? I have a lot of respect for Lauren, because I think that's what you do when you get an opportunity. You make the most of it. You take that open door and you push it as far as you can, and you take off running. And that's what she did. Now, Jess comes back, and that's where the issue lies. Jess comes back. She's not as good as certain things that Lauren does. Lauren is not as good at the things that Jess does. Lauren is not naturally really funny. She's a news person. She's more of a journalist, right? Jess is funny, but she's not that great at information. So this is what's interesting about the dilemma. If the Breakfast Club wanted to stay with the same dynamic that they initially had with Angela Yee, then Lauren should have been the choice, hands down, because Lauren gives you that same vibe that Angela had, a little bit younger flavor, a little bit more aggressive in the way she handles her questions, right? Angela Yee was very relaxed. So, but I think if you wanted to keep that same formula, education, context, more opinionated, and then pull it all together, then you have Lauren in there. You should have hired her from the beginning. But they had taken a pivot and went to Jess Hilarious, which means that you're looking to do something a little different. And then when Jess came back from maternity leave, now it doesn't really fit, because now they're both on. And I want to make it clear that they had initially stated they did not want four people on every day, right? Because they also have celebrity guests that come through. So if you have 4 hosts, that's going to be a difficult volley for a celebrity guest to come in. And God forbid you have more than one celebrity guest, right? Because then you have 4 people already vying for an opportunity to be a voice in the conversation. So Jess starts getting frustrated, as you can imagine. Lauren is buckling down. She does not want to leave. She loves this position, right? She didn't what she wanted to do in the beginning when she left TMZ. She wanted to carve out her own niche. So it becomes a big stink, and Jess goes to social media to air it all out. Now, that's where I feel like things became problematic. Even if I understand that we're in a very transparent culture at this point, right? Everybody wants to be as transparent as possible. Everybody wants to share on public platforms as much as they possibly can, be it their personal, personal lives. We saw Tiger Woods just posted that he is now in a relationship with Donald Trump Jr.'s son's ex-wife. I don't know that we needed that, but okay. He's being transparent. Everybody wants to come out and share what they are dealing with internally. George Clooney decides he's not going to do romantic leads anymore in movies. He makes an announcement. Like, that's not how things used to be, but we're now in this new space. So that's what everyone is doing. So Jess goes on live on her personal platform, and she trashes the entire network, the entire platform. She says the platform of the Breakfast Club has been run like Fair East Side High. And you all know, those of us that have our Black cards intact, we know she is talking about Lean on Me and the principal that comes in, Samuel L. Jackson, gets everybody together, right? So she says it's run like Fair East Side High, basically trivializing the entire business behind the Breakfast Club, and including Charlemagne and DJ Envy. I mean, they're in that, right? You say that, then they get hit with a stray. She also says that Lauren attempts to overtalk her and that she's doing too much. And she said that initially she told her to shut up, which is rude as hell on on morning television, on morning radio and TV. She said, and then she told her to be quiet because she didn't want to come off saying shut up. And then she tells the entire platform that Charlemagne texted her and said, no, if you want to say shut up, say shut up. Now, at first I was like, is Charlemagne being messy? And then I realized Charlemagne's just being Charlemagne. Like, that's one thing about him. He really is. He would say that to her, and he probably would tell Lauren to buck back, because that's what he does, right? He does that with viewers. I had clients that did not even want to go on the show because of Charlemagne, the old Charlemagne. He's calmed down some. But Charlemagne loves that intersectionality between offending someone and making them accountable. He walks that line. So according to Jess, he told her to, tell Lauren to shut up, which to me is irresponsible, because that's not the energy. You're not supposed to be going viral because of the Breakfast Club. You're supposed to be going viral because of the interviews with guests, right? It shouldn't be an uncomfortable environment for celebrities to come and sit down and talk. Like, if you guys are fighting, it makes it very uncomfortable for someone coming into that space to feel at ease when they're sharing, and to even get vulnerable and share something that they may not have shared someplace else, because they're on guard, because the energy and the environment is kind of toxic. So when Jess shared all this on her platform, I thought, wow, this is going to be the writing on the wall. This is going to show us that she's probably going to end up off the show, because as we know from Nene and Bravo, and just common sense, like, if you work for someone and you go on live and talk bad about the person that signs your check, you probably don't want to check. And even if you are safe for that contractual time period, you've definitely sent a glaring red flag, a missile, right? Out to anyone that would consider hiring you, and you've let them know that you could be problematic. No one wants to hire someone that could potentially go, be a problem and trash them while they're under contract. It's one thing for people to trash you when they leave, but when someone is there working for you and talking bad about you, it's significantly worse for the company. So the Breakfast Club is operating, and one of its primary principal cast, it just got back off maternity leave so we could actually get the good from you. And now you're saying that the entire production is trivial and unserious and not professional, and you're dogging out the people that gave you this big opportunity that so many people wanted. Crazy, 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 crazy. Now, as in my article pointed out, there's one more person that is in that fray, which is interesting because he's not on the Breakfast Club. Comedian Corey Holcomb, who, in my opinion, is misogynistic across the board. He made some statements about Jess. He's not fond of Jess. Hilarious. He said that she can't read and she's not talented. He did praise Lauren Losa, and for her professional ability and her talent. Now, I don't think he was wrong with that. I do think that often his commentary is very misogynistic. I will say that, and I'm sure he, would probably vehemently disagree, and say a lot of hateful things because that's what he does. But I agree with him in that Lauren is very professional. Lauren she is seasoned when it comes to being a part of the news and knowing how to deliver news and knowing how to conduct interviews. However, Jess, that's not what she does. So it's like, if you get angry at someone for not doing what they weren't hired to do, that's not really fair, right? So if we look at like Public Enemy and we get upset with Flav because he was not delivering intelligent, hard-hitting rhymes, that's never what he was there for. He was always there to be the hype man. So you can't really get upset with Jess at not being able to deliver news and being able to read copy as quickly and as fluently as Lauren, because Lauren is a journalist and that's what she's there to do. Jess is a comedian, and she's also one that is a part of the culture and is able to connect in a different way than Lauren does. So I think, although I agree with how he, complimented Lauren, all those compliments were valid, his disdain for Jess was not relevant to me because it was never what she was hired for, right? So, but we know in a patriarchal society like the one we live in, men enjoy pitting women against each other. So, of course, the two ladies are pitted against each other with themselves. I mean, for an extent, Jess is looking at Lauren as competition. Lauren is looking at Jess as the competition that she has to outdo in order to keep that spot and not go back home now that Jess is back from maternity leave. And then the men, if what Jess said was true, Charlemagne is picked. Like, I don't like when men get involved in women's business. It's already difficult enough for us anyway. There's always more men than women in those type positions, right? Especially when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to urban entertainment, specifically, men run the show in a big way. So when a woman does get a chance, she's fighting for that chance, like treading water. You're trying to stay above ground. And then when another woman is thrown into the water, you know that the men are kind of pitting you guys against each other to let you cat fight it out, and then see who wins. So I feel like, number one, Corey's opinion is not relevant, even though it was very loud and a lot of people did side with him. I don't feel like it was relevant because, why is a man interfering in women's business? And he's not even on the show. He's just a viewer like the rest of us. He's definitely someone that has a platform and who's been on the show and contributed to them going viral because of his misogynistic views. But it's not his place to say who should stay or who should not. He's not a part of the hiring board, for the Breakfast Club. So long story short, and this has been a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but Lauren has a new show that's all hers. I don't know that she will stay around very long on the Breakfast Club. I don't see them letting her go. Jess Hilarious is still there as of right now, but I don't suspect that she will be there very long, because once you've said those type of things, that's the thing. People have to realize once you speak words out of your mouth, you cannot get them back, right? So the environment has got to feel very awkward and very, not cohesive. It's for her at this point because she talks so badly about everyone, and she just went and had an emotional outburst, and that probably colored a lot of the people's opinions of her, and not just on the Breakfast Club. Like I said, it's not really the Breakfast Club because she makes sure to relay that she has a contract, and that, yeah, I understand you have a contract here, but you want more contracts in the future. And if you display behavior that is not conducive to positive workplace environments, then it could be a while before you get another contract. So I think that she acted out in emotions, and I understand that because her position, she's fought very hard to get this notoriety and to be at this place. However, I don't think she handled it the best, and I think that's going to come back to bite her in the behind. Congratulations to Lauren, who has a new show that's completely hers. I'm sure all this happening did not hurt. I'm sure her being on the Breakfast Club in Jess's spot while Jess was on maternity leave did not hurt. But she's talented, and so talent is always going to rise to the top anyway. I think both of these women have an opportunity to do a lot because they're both very talented. But when it comes to news, that's more Lauren's landscape. And when it comes to comedy and, this being very, very in your face, colorful personality is more Jess. And so it just might not have been the best fit for her. In any case, I think the Breakfast Club bringing in a personality that was totally opposite of Jess was not smart, and to give her that position to hold while Jess was out, it just it was like a bomb ticking that was definitely going to go off, because when the person has had this opportunity to sit in this seat, they're not going to want to give this seat up, right? I definitely would not have. I would have wanted to try to figure out whatever I could have done to stay in that seat. But at the end of the day, I hope it encourages us as Black women. There's got to be a better way for us to communicate. And I'm not saying that we should not, go for what you want in the face of whoever's there. But I just think, allowing men and others to manipulate us and pit us against each other is a problem. And they've been doing it since the beginning of time. And it really does not serve us. It serves them, because at the end of the day, they get to sit back and watch us. And the consequences that you leave with will be the consequences that you have to deal with. And Charlemagne won't have to deal with whatever Jess is going to have to deal with because of this. Neither DJ Envy or Corey Holcomb. He can just sit and keep talking. But, but if she makes a decision based on things that people around her or men around her have been feeding her, then she's going to have to deal with those consequences on her own. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on the Jess Hilarious and Lauren Losa debacle at the Breakfast Club. I hope they get it together, because I think if they don't, there are so many people doing what they do or trying to do what they do. They need to keep the marketplace, keep that corner on the marketplace to where people really look to the Breakfast Club. There's a lot of other competitors, coming for them. So keeping the show tight, keeping the chemistry tight is really important to keeping them in a competitive space. All right. Speaking of a competitive space, I'm going to move on here to the Real Housewives of Potomac. I wrote an article that stated the Real Housewives of Potomac should be on pause. Now, I am saying this, and I would love for you guys that are watching to chime in with me and let me know what you think about that. I think that the Real Housewives of Potomac needs to be on pause, because look at this. Let me give you my stats. First of all, we know that Karen Huger is in jail, right? Serving at least 1 year sentence on her DUI conviction. So she's not going to be here for the next season, possibly 2 seasons, right? Depending on when the recording falls, the calendar falls. Also, Mia up and quit the show, right? Mia up and quit the show during the reunion because she did not want to be held accountable. Am I surprised? No. Mia was a whole problem. Her storyline ran out because she kept lying, and it became more and more apparent that she was lying. She broke up with Ink at the end. She claimed she was getting back with Gordon. We knew that wasn't true, but there was so many things happening in Mia's storyline this season that were just ridiculous lies that she ended up getting caught in before the reunion even came around. She claimed that Gordon had taken her kids and she didn't know where they were. Come to find out, they were on Martha's Vineyard with him, and she was fine with that. It just, so many things happened. And she had the nerve to speak ill of Giselle's daughters when they were, I guess, sneaking boys in their teens, with honor roll students preparing for college. Okay. Mia, ma'am, like, that's what kids do. And you had no reason to speak on it, but you are the one putting your kids out here. You came out with this ridiculous story about your son possibly belonging to Ink and not Gordon. The boy is, I think, like 11, 10 or 11. So if that's the case, you were doing this foolishness years ago and you want, I don't know, you're trying to cause, why would you do that? Like, it just made no sense, besides she was trying to have a hot storyline. But what happened is it backfired and people were like, ooh, that's a little bit too much. Like, too much dip on that chip. I don't like it. I don't like it. It doesn't go down well. If you're, divorcing, it obviously has become very common on reality shows to be in the middle of a divorce and still entertain a new relationship. That is not frowned upon at this point. So, okay, she was divorcing Gordon. Divorce wasn't finished. She goes back and starts, publicizing this relationship with her ex-boyfriend, Ink. But at the point that you say that Ink could have been your child's son, now we're just looking at you like, oh, girl, it's too much. It's too much. Then she comes out and is like, surprise, surprise, it's not his son. I know it wasn't his son all along. So you just wanted to play in our faces the whole season? You just wanted to play in our faces? Okay. That's what she did. She played in everyone's face. She played in the producers' faces. And I think the producers on that show don't really know what to do with Mia, because most people don't tell those type of lies. Those are special lies. Like, most people don't tell the type of lies that would suggest your child, who is very much not a baby, your boy that is like 10 or 11, could be your ex-boyfriend, and then bring your ex-boyfriend and try to have him in a cohabitative position with your estranged husband. Like, it was a lot, even for, Sunday nights. It was just a lot. Even for 8 o'clock on Sunday, still a lot. And I think they didn't know how to call her out on it. So her castmates started calling her out on it. And it became clear that she was lying. And so Giselle confronted her basically and said that Mia said, well, you said I was a bad mother. And she said, well, I didn't say you're a bad mother. I said your behavior that you were exhibiting was bad parenting. And it was. And it was. And Mia got up and left. And then she stormed off and said she was quitting. And then she went on some blog interview and said that Giselle wouldn't have said that to her face if there weren't security around. I honestly believe Giselle would have. It's not like no one else agreed with Giselle. Everyone agreed with Giselle. Her children agree with Giselle, I'm sure. So Mia quit, but that was no great loss. She shouldn't have been there anyway. Mia just is not of the same ilk, of the ladies on Potomac. But there are other problems, right? So Robin Dixon has been gone. I know a lot of you were okay with that. I actually was not. I didn't like Robin in the last season, but I didn't really have that much of a problem with her prior to that. Robin is gone. Candace is gone. And Candace left at the worst possible time. Like, Candace has this, she's a great reader and very intellectual and fits the aesthetic of Potomac and all this. She's married and she'd gone through IVF and all this stuff, and she had her baby. Now, she left right when she announced her pregnancy. Audiences have gone through so much with Candace, like you talking crazy to your husband, you not really understanding how to interact with your mother and your husband, you growing up into a woman, you knowing how to control your own temper, and all of this. We get to the point where you get ready to have a baby. That's what fans want to watch. Like, you adapting to motherhood. Now your storyline could be about something other than being angry at Giselle and the other women. We could actually see that. I think people wanted to see that. We don't get to see that. Candace leaves because she's over it, because the ladies have accused Chris of being flirtatious, and she doesn't want the show to ruin her marriage, which I totally understand, totally can, agree with, and total agreement with that. But it's just, she did a lot of poking the bear, right? So it's like, it's unfortunate that you leave right when your storyline could be really good. I would really love to see her on the show now, adapting to mommyhood, doing her music. Like right when her music started doing really well and she got her baby, she left. So now we don't have Robin, we don't have Karen, we don't have Mia. So that leaves us with Giselle, who does not show any authenticity in her storyline. I love Giselle, but Giselle is not going to tell you none of her business. Giselle is going to look amazing. She's going to be the pretty girl, and that's it. She's not going to let you know the reality of what is happening. And now that her daughters are in school, because that's what she would do. That's what she would, because she don't want to tell you about what's really going on in her love life, but she would try to have conversations with her daughters all the time and make that fly as her way of being authentic, because that's the fun one. I mean, your daughters are beautiful when they get good grades and they're not in trouble. So there's not really any meat there that's going to make for a good storyline. There's no contention. There's no conflict. Everything is great. They're adorable girls. All right, so they're gone. So what is Giselle going to do? She's going to date young, hot reality stars, but not get really serious about them. We don't want to see that anymore. We're over it. And then these new people that Ashley, child, Ashley is not enough, does not have enough meat on the bone to be a principal. She is more like a friend of the show. She just, she's all over the place. I don't know what she's, I don't know if she's I don't know what's happening with Ashley, but it's not enough there for me to really be invested. She's fun to laugh with, on occasion, but it's not main character energy. So we met these two new people, Stacy and Kierna. Stacy came on as this very sophisticated QVC spokesmodel, right? Like a black Barbie than a white person. Great. Fits the aesthetic. But she's going through a divorce. Again, the reality TV, specifically Housewives, loves a woman in an estranged marriage having a romance. That's the formula that works. And she said that she was doing that. She was divorcing her husband, and she supposedly had a boyfriend that was her best friend, that was TJ, but they had never been intimate, but they had never really kissed or anything. And come to find out, the sophisticated QVC lady was lying. She's lying about everything. That was not her man. Her and TJ were not really together. She was paying TJ to have a storyline. At this point, and she was lying about even being the sophisticated woman, because she curses people out when the camera's not around, but she wants the cameras to catch this very prim and proper version of herself. So in the first season, she got busted. Like, it took most housewives at least 3 or 4 seasons. Even Mia, it took a few seasons to get busted out in her lies. Stacy gets exposed in her first season. We're not going to be able to do much here with this. It's not much connecting us to you. Kierna, very, very beautiful. There's not really a lot here. I don't know you very well. You're not giving us really anything. So we don't really have anything left. We got nothing. We have Giselle, we have Ashley. We have Giselle, we have Ashley, and Wendy, who I absolutely adore. But again, Wendy is not going to let you. Wendy and Giselle are two sides of the same coin. Wendy is the Nigerian overachiever who is not going to let you see any chips in her exterior. No flaws, no chinks in her armor, right? Neither is Giselle. No chinks in the armor. So there's no one here that is going to give us anything authentic. It's not happening. Ashley's just having a good time. There's nothing going on here. And then, the crazy woman is gone. And with Mia being gone, I'm sure Jacqueline, her bestie that she takes showers with, is probably gone too. So I definitely think I was right in my yes, faithful. It was confirmed that she did. I don't know if she paid for the companionship, but she definitely paid for him to show up on camera with her. We don't know what happened off the camera, but she definitely paid for that. So you got busted out the first season that you joined. And I'm sure people are looking forward to her returning with egg on her face, but there just needs to be more. We just don't have enough meat on this Potomac bone at all. Karen, you're going to have to bring Candace back or somebody. Charisse, Somebody, Candace really is. We need Candace back. I said, and you guys let me know what you think. Maybe bring Monique back. Monique is now divorced. When she was on the show, she was married to Chris and she was resentful that she was his wife. Well, she fixed that. She's not his wife anymore. Bring her back. She may be easier to deal with. You know, again, she's another person that left a job and talked negatively about the job. I don't think she went to the extent of like a Nene Leakes. She definitely, threw shade at Bravo with Carlos King, but then she left Carlos and threw shade on him too. So she may be a bigger headache than she's worth. But Candace needs to come back. We need to go get Candace back. And maybe we can get Robin back and get her to tell the truth. I don't know. But in any case, it makes sense that producers are considering putting Potomac on hiatus again. This is the problem with that, though. Potomac went on hiatus before. You guys remember there was one season, 2 seasons, they went on hiatus. They came back with the new cast and it worked, right? It got really good and now it's dissipated again. But I just think besides Atlanta is not having a good time either. But I don't know that we care enough about Potomac to keep going on these breaks. If they don't get it back together, then we're just going to suggest another city like Real Housewives of Chicago or something and let Potomac be, or Real Housewives of DC. Maybe Potomac is not good because it's on the outskirts. Maybe we need to go into the city and get some political people. That'll give us some good meat. We'll see. But I definitely predicted it. And so hearing that today, I was like, makes sense. Makes sense. They have nothing to go with. Giselle and Wendy are not going to give you anything that makes them look bad. They are never going to let you see anything heartfelt in their lives. Wendy is going to make sure that she always looks like the queen, and so is Giselle. Ashley is a walking hazard light. I don't know if they're going private person. Welcome. It's not just because of Karen. Karen is gone, and then also Mia quit. And so I think with that, just those two, and I actually think Mia needed to be gone, but I think they weren't prepared for that. And there's not much there. There's just not much there. They already brought in Kierna and Stacy as new people, right? When they let Robin go and then Candace left. But now one of the new persons has been ruled to be a fake and a phony in her first season. We were supposed to get some build up to that. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I love Giselle, but I just don't think she's enough she's not going to give you anything. And neither, like I said, neither is Wendy. Wendy's going to present, I have the perfect life. I have the perfect husband. I'm the perfect person. Not going to give us a good show. It's kind of like Robin, except Robin just wasn't as smart as those two, Moving on to Real Housewives of Atlanta. Yes, so my article says Kenya Moore was right. Portia Williams is a revisionist historian on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Do you guys remember that episode? Kenya is hilarious. She said that Portia was a history revisionist. Basically, that she likes to rewrite history and does not tell the truth. And that is the case. I feel like Portia is full of pretty lies. She is full of very pretty lies. She is very pretty, but she lies all the time. So her whole situation with Simon this season, first she told us that she just completely ignores. She wants people to forget how she and Simon got together. We're not going to forget. It's on film. It was a part of the show. We saw you go to his house after you received an invitation from his wife, Fallon. We saw that. We saw her welcome you in. We knew she was vying for a peach. We saw her show up at several events brought by you. You were the friend of the show that she had. Later, we saw you with her husband before they were divorced, right? And you came out and said that he was right to leave her because she cheated on him. Well, obviously he was cheating too. You are the proof. They're not divorced yet. And again, as I said earlier, I understand that Real Housewives and other reality TV shows are promoting people getting in relationships before the ink is finalized on the divorce. However, when he's still married to a woman that you brought on the show, we're not going to forget Portia. We're just not. Okay, we're not going to forget that. So I know you don't want to talk about it. I know you want to act like it didn't happen, but we're not going to forget. We're also not going to forget that this was less than 15 months ago. So you took the man, got with him, got engaged before he was divorced, and then you all had 3 weddings. Count them. 1, 2, 3. You donned 3 bridal gowns. And you posted pictures, and it was the pomp and circumstance of it all. And then you got online and you said that you were divorcing him because the finances weren't right. And you said that you loved him, but you were so saddened because now you have to protect you and PJ. And then he said he was going to keep his marriage, and you kept saying no. And then something went awry because then you started to make fun of him. You said that he had erectile dysfunction, that he couldn't satisfy you, that he was just this horrible person. This all happened in less than 2 years. I just want to make sure that you guys are paying attention to that. And then you came on the show and you say, for this season, after being away for 3 seasons, and you say that you really loved him and you can't believe this happened. What? Portia, what are you talking about? You did not love that man. You saw that house. You wanted that house. You wanted that life. You got it. That, yes, Haitian Empress, that is how you are greeted. Portia accused Simon via her Instagram stories of dealing with erectile dysfunction. Now, if you love this man and you can't believe that you guys are going through a divorce, you don't out him about his erectile dysfunction. And she said that they never had a good sex life. She just like, girl, this all happened in 2 years. You stole this woman's husband and he had erectile dysfunction. That seems like a case of chickens coming home to roost. That's what I think. That seems like some karma coming back around, you know? And then she gets on, and now this season, she's just so hurt by Simon and the fact that she did not know him. Well, that's what happens when you take other people's husbands while they're still married to them and brag about it. Girl, yeah, Portia, Mia's unhinged though. Mia is completely unhinged. Mia is different than Portia. Like I said before, Portia tells pretty lies. She always looks so pretty. Mia just tells lies. Big 12-foot lies. Big flat-footed 12 size shoe wearing lies. I don't like those lies. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Portia does tell lies, but they're pretty lies. And they go down a little bit smoother, but they're lies. They're lies. And so she tells so many different types of stories. And then, Nola, I don't know if you guys have been watching this, but I talked about this in another article that should go up probably tomorrow. Okay. She was with Dennis, right? You guys remember this. First, she was with Cordell. We don't even talk about him. God rest that situation. She gets with Dennis. And they get together very quickly. She tells him she's pregnant. She shows him a shoe. And then they get engaged. And then engagement gets called off, but they're going to co-parent. According to Portia, he cheated on her. According to his mama, she cheated on him. They both allegedly have cheated. I don't know. Then she, switches out for Simon. And she tries to, she did try that Mia stuff with bringing Simon and Dennis around each other, just like Mia with Ink and Gordon. She did do that. So maybe they are alike, just not so pretty. So she did she had Dennis kind of like around, saying that in the name of them co-parenting together, he needed to be around her and Simon because Simon was now going to be in Pilar's life. It sounds good, but there's no reason that they need to all hang out. When she did her show, Portia Family Matters, which was grand opening, grand closing, because it was so ridiculous and erratic, she tried to have Dennis come on a family trip with them. She tried to have Dennis pack his bags, get on a plane and a boat, and go for a family trip with her family, with her and Simon. Then she acted a fool, pitched a fit, cursed everybody out when Dennis wanted to have his own woman there. So I was just like, how does Portia feel that she should be able to have Dennis there and Simon, but Dennis can't have a woman? That's nuts. So this season, that show went out. This season, she's upset because Drew is working with Dennis. Now, you've had a whole marriage, ma'am, a whole marriage, 3 marriages, in fact, not a whole marriage, a whole 3 marriages. And Dennis has had to watch you have 3 marriages, and you expect him to not talk. Now, I'm not saying he should be with Drew, but what I am saying is that, why is Portia crying? Did you guys watch last night? Portia's crying. Nobody is there for me. Girl, what? What are you talking about? We can see, we watched last season. We saw your social media. What are you talking about? He's there for Pilar. You say he's a good father. What does him in the studio with Drew have to do with Pilar? You don't want him. You got married 3 times. 3 to the same person who you're now trying to divorce. Girl. Anyway, Portia's foolish. I just cannot. The other women on the show are equally foolish. This season is a lot of foolishness. Foolishness and folly, as I like to say here on Grace and Gossip. Foolishness and folly. This Kelly person buying 17 designer bags for her daughter's 17th birthday. Last night, she threw a party at Balmain with the proceeds to go to this foundation, OI Foundation. I had never heard of that, but foundations is always great to give back. But it's like Atlanta is trying to prove that they have a lot of money. And, it's like when the ladies in Beverly Hills do this, it comes off very easily, like water off a duck's back, because they really do have the funds. That's really how they move. This, not feeling like this is really real. I understand that she has a waffle restaurant, and I did interview her. She's very bubbly, a lot of personality, but it's just a lot. It feels like people are trying really hard on the Housewives. Shamia is the only one that, has the money like that, in my opinion. But, and of course, Kenya and the other ones that have been on the show for a long time, have money. But the newbies, I just don't know. I know they want to look like they do. They want really badly to look like they're like Lisa Vanderpump. I'm not buying it. But the waffle restaurant is in Georgia. It is, I believe it's in Conyers. I may go. I'm supposed to go out there and interview her there. I just need to I just don't understand what's happening. It seems like a lot of pomp and circumstance with very little underneath it. I'm never going to understand why someone would buy their daughter 12 designer bags. I don't. Meanwhile, you have people like Anthony Mackie saying, my children don't even have a pair of Jordans. You have, Ben Affleck saying, I don't do, like, the foolishness of it all. But the new girl, and then Angela Oakley. Did you guys see last night? Shamia said that Angela Oakley had a 1999 nose. Because it's that LaToya Jackson, like and then she did it. She made her nose do like that. It was, I guess your nose will do that. Yeah. Um, yeah, I really like that interview with Anthony Mackie. Made me like him a lot more. I liked him already, but it made me, like him as a person. But yeah, this so ironically, this is the moral of the story. Kelly has bought 17 designer bags. The other one, Britt, who is AKA the self-proclaimed Black Barbie, is showing that she has a husband that has a lot of money and is doing all this stuff. And Angela Oakley is trying to show that she comes from this, basketball royalty background, but he's upset about small amounts of money going out every month. Um, so they're doing all this posturing, right? Shamia got a Rolls Royce Cullinan as a birthday gift from her husband, but she does have the money, but that's still $250,000 car. Like, I don't care how much money you have. That's $250,000 car. And it cracks me up. They keep showing her house and it's called Sterling, the Starling or the, it's very fancy. But they're doing all that and the ratings were lower than ever. I don't think people are buying it. I don't think people care. I don't. It's a lot of plastic surgery. I don't think people care. The ratings are not high. They may need Nene. As much as I hate to admit that, they may need Nene back or something else. I don't know. Maybe that whole idea of a real housewife, specifically because most of the time they're not housewives, is just played out because this season they had the lowest ratings ever. I don't think people really are connecting. They were kind of waiting. You lost Candy. Cynthia is a friend of the show, but she's there. If they lose Kenya, now Kenya is still in these episodes so far, but I think next Sunday's episode is the one where she, does the infraction against Britt, and then she's gonna not be on anymore. Drew, it's just I don't know. I don't know, but the ratings are not good. So I don't know if they're gonna come up. Phaedra's coming back. I mean, Phaedra's a friend of the show. Phaedra had the most ridiculous. She's like Portia, at which that makes sense. And Mia, she lies and is foolish and ridiculous. Dr. Heavenly posted. I should have, you know what? I should have brought it. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna have to pull it from Dr. Heavenly's page and post it because this is the most ridiculous thing ever. Phaedra talks out two sides of her mouth. In 1 minute, she says she can't stand the ladies on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And the next minute, she says she doesn't want to be on Married to Miserable. She talks bad about everyone. She takes no accountability. She is really playing a role. It is crazy. You guys watch out for that. I'm going to do a short on here tomorrow with that. Yeah, I don't know, but it's interesting that they're doing all that, materialistic showboating, and it's not helping. It's not helping at all. What do you guys think? Do you like the new cast members, Kelly, Angela, and Britt? That's a lot. It's a lot to introduce 3 new people, to a fan base that has known all these other women. There are 3 new women: Britt Eady, Kelly Farrell, and Angela Oakley. Angela is married to a former basketball player. Emphasis on former. Okay. And he's cool. He's very down to earth, but I'm just saying she's trying to make it seem like they are, lifestyles of the rich and famous. Hey, baby. My honey bunny is in Cali. Phaedra wasn't wrong about Married to Medicine. She also said the same thing about the Housewives. I'm gonna pull this clip. Nola, I'm gonna pull the clip. You guys watch out. Make sure you're subscribed. But there's another reason that I want to make sure that you're subscribed, you're watching, because tomorrow night my interview with Potomac St. John comes on. Now, I'm not, I watch the Housewives because of the shows. I write about them. And it's fun talking to you guys. We have a good time. But I'm not really like fans of most of these women because I'm not really like fake stuff. It's not really my thing. But I will tell you, I got a chance to interview Potomac St. John, who is on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And this is her last week. She looks amazing. She's gorgeous. This is the 2 of us there. She is amazing. Interview is great. I'm doing a story on her for Livingston Parker, so you guys watch out for that. But she basically, I said, I appreciate, you being a woman of substance, and hey Crystal, hey Auntie Kim, I appreciate you coming and being a woman that has all this stuff behind you. Because if you guys did not know, before you tune into my interview with her tomorrow, she was a CEO for Apple. She was a CEO for Starbucks, Uber, and it's one more. It's one more ridiculously huge company that makes no sense that you would be in those positions. She's a power player. She's a corporate baddie, and she definitely she had a workshop here titled the Badass Workshop. I went to the workshop. I interviewed her. I stayed there. I had a great time. I think I posted a clip, a reel just of me, there. But first time I've ever went to a workshop, specifically recently, where someone actually gave real nuggets that were not this, regurgitated ones that we always hear. Same thing. She basically, and I'm going to share with you guys. Actually, I'm going to share a little bit more with you guys. Tomorrow, obviously, the interview goes up, but in the workshop, she basically said, and this is never something I've never heard anyone say, even though I've thought it. She said that when you are in business or even in your personal, you should not listen to anyone aside from yourself. She said, you have everything that you need to be successful. The problem is we second guess ourselves and we go and ask other people. And when you ask other people, they haven't been given the vision that you have. So they're not going to give you the answer that you need. The answer that you need for your life is always inside. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Did it stop? I gotta figure this shit out. Okay, well, it stopped.